Oh, and we are live, 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 live. Yes, come on in. I love doing Tuesday Talk. I look forward to it. My mom loves it. We are live. Yes, yes, we are live. This is going to be so great. I'm excited to do this. So excited. Come on in, family. We are streaming in a lot of different places. So we're on Shrine of My YouTube, Shrine of My Facebook, Yoga Girl Sai, my page, a few other YouTube pages. So it does get a lot of visibility.
Okay.
Want to welcome? Yeah, it does. It does, and people watch it later and comment on it and stuff like that. Yes, thank you, Bakari John Boer. Peace and blessing, Queens. I love that. I love it. I love it. When you're coming in, let us know where you are coming in from. So my mom was an English teacher. She retired after 30 years of teaching. So whenever I hear people say, "Let us know where you're coming in from," I know that the "from" is a preposition and it just dangles, and I can hear my mom, trying to correct it. So where you coming in from, people?
Right, right.
Let
That's
us know which city, which state, which country. Let us know. Let us know. Come on in. We have an amazing Tuesday talk scheduled for tonight. And I've been doing Tuesday talk for 3 years. And it just goes to show the breadth and depth of our community and what it is that we know. So we are a great community. We really are. And we need to lean on each other
yes.
because we only have each other. Y'all can go test out that theory. We're gonna be right here when you figure it out and you could bring your black behind back.
Right on,
Okay.
man.
We are enough. We really are. We are enough.
Mm-hmm. Okay, man.
Oh, yes, I can my aunt. DC Senesti Naka. Ankh in Ma'at Mut Kajara. Yes. We have Sakina Ra. She is a member of the Shrine of Ma'at, an active member, a very loving, caring member. And she says, Ankh in Ma'at Queens from North Dakota. We've got Haru, Jehuti, Pata, Umika, Tem Ra. Ankh in Ma'at Abet, Sen Jehuti, coming in from Oakland, California, sending us much myrrh. Come on in. Yes, I love it. I love it. I want to thank everybody for participating in Tuesday Talk by showing up and passing the information along and participating in the chat, etc., and just really being dedicated to Tuesday Talk. It's something that we, that I recognize and we all need to have. Thank you so much, Sakina Ra. Thank you so much. So I'm going to get started and appreciate the people who are here. Tonight we have Mut Kajara Nebthet. Did I say that right? I'm sorry. Did I say it right, Nebthet?
You did.
Okay, good. I always freeze. Sorry, guys. Rekhit Kajara Nia Ya Nebthet is the author of many books, including Ra Seikhi Reiki Level 1, Kemetic Reiki Level 2, Sekhmet Rising, the newest edition, Healing Ritual Magic, and many more. She has also written articles for three other books, Sister Vegan, Natural Dread of Atlanta, and Magical Calabash. Rekhit Kajara is a Heal Thyself ambassador of wellness, medicine woman, priestess, community activist, African holistic health consultant, spiritual warrior, sacred woman, educator, mother, tree hugger, and nature lover who has dedicated her life to promote health, wellness, and natural living in our community. Rekhit Kajara has been practicing and teaching womb wellness and energy healing for over 15 years. She is a natural healer as well as a teacher of all ages for over 20 years, sharing lessons in health, wellness, women's health, Black history, yoga, and metaphysical sciences. She is also an artist and entrepreneur who has traveled the United States sharing her handmade jewels for over 20 years. Mut Kajara Nebthet was raised in Chicago. She healed herself intuitively at the age of 16 using a technique which is called Reiki. She received a Bachelor of Social Science from Florida State in 1993. During her time in college, she committed herself in working to uplift Black people. She started her own business, Nia Designs, in 1991, for which she made and sold jewelry at festivals and to stores on the East Coast and Midwest. She taught in African-centered schools between 1993 and 2000. During this time, she taught a variety of subjects, including health, physical education, Black history, Swahili, entrepreneurship, math, science, yoga, as well as arts and crafts to children of all ages. That is so beautiful. Mukajara was attuned as a Reiki master in 2000 and was initiated as a general initiate into the mysteries of the Ankh in 2000. She also began to facilitate Sacred Woman Gateway in 2000. She trained over 100 women in Sacred Woman circles and retreats between the years of 2000 and 2012. She became the Heal Thyself Ambassador of Wellness, as well as a certified fasting and detoxing therapist in 2006. She received certification as a holistic health practitioner from Dr. Layla Africa in 2006. In 2007, she was assigned to teach energy healing to our community and began teaching Kemetic Reiki classes in Chicago. This journey led to Ra Sekhi Arts Temple being founded in 2007. She was initiated as a priestess of Shango, Yemaya, and Oya in 2008. She has worshipped with Christians, Jehovah's Witnesses, Hebrews, Muslims, Rastafarians, Buddhists, Wiccans, Native Americans, Akan, Yoruba, Vodun, and NGE, and has come to one conclusion. All spiritual systems teach people to live right. The names serve to divide us. Ra Sekhi classes are open to those of African descent, no matter what spiritual system they follow. And with that, I welcome Mut Priestess Rekhit Kajara Nia Ya Nebthet. Welcome to Tuesday Talk. Welcome.
Thank
Welcome.
you. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to share here with you.
Yes, thank you. So, family, when I read her biography, I was like, what? We have a gem here. I'm going to jump right down to the last paragraph. When you've studied in multiple places with multiple people who have different ways of seeing how you connect to the divine, the different types of methods, seemingly different, become a little bit more similar and a little bit more familiar and a little bit more open for others to kind of understand that people are seeking one, like really, well, not really, seeking one spiritual divine being that undergirds and governs nature and life. That's how I see that. I'm taking this class called Altar Call and by Teacher Trell, and I've kind of come to that conclusion a little bit from that class because even though I personally will not practice something that was given to our ancestors through enslavement, I have a different understanding of why people do. And that class has softened me to my position, not changed it, but softened me to understanding why people practice that way by looking at other African spiritual practices. You can see the Africanness in the way that we practice it. And Teacher Trell has um, the Black church, images of the Black church, images of voodoo priestesses in New Orleans, of Europe, I mean, just everything, everything. And I went into that class with an open mind. So now here's the synergy of all of this. Then I read her biography, and you can see that the path to enlightenment, the path in African spiritual systems, that path um, does not exclude other spiritual connections. So, in as much, when we discuss healing, are we throwing away our Western doctors? No, we're not. Because they can check your heart, they can check your blood pressure, they can check and clean your colon, they check for cancer. You can just, you have asthma, you can use a rescue inhaler. So we're not going to throw away Western medicine. There's some parts that we may or may not choose to participate in, right?
That's right.
So, but we also have Eastern medicine. We have Native American medicine. And guess what else we have? We have our own, the most ancient practices in healing. And so it's really important to understand our role in it and the breadth and depth of it. So before we jump into our deeper discussion, can you give us a general explanation of what Ra Seikhi Arts actually are?
Yes, Ra Sekhi Arts are actually the healing arts that are from our ancient ancestors. So the Ra, of course, refers to the energy of the sun, which is what gives us all life and energy. And then the Sekhi refers to our own personal, what we call Sekim, is our own life force energy or personal power. Some even call it spiritual power, but it's like the chi or the ki that other systems talk about is prana. You know,
Mhm.
when we understand that we have this divine energy that is connected to the infinite energy, then we are empowered with just that consciousness. So Ra Sekhi Arts is here to help restore our people to the knowledge of our own culture and our own ways of being healthy and living with the sun, living in tune with the universe, living in tune with nature and all things natural.
Okay. I see here from your bio, it says you healed yourself intuitively at 16 using the technique called Reiki. So did you know it was, did you know about Reiki when you used that technique, or did you use a technique and then later came to understand it to be Reiki?
Yes, it was something that came to me because I was sick, I was in pain. And by that time, I had already been to a Baptist church, a Protestant church. I'd been to the Jehovah's Witness place. I had been to the mosque. So I knew there were more than one name for the Creator. I
Mhm.
knew that there were ancestors, there were angels, there were other entities. So when I got sick and I was in pain, I heard my spirit guides direct me to put my hands where I was hurting and to pray. And
Mhm.
they actually told me to call on all the energies, call on everything you know to help you to heal, in which I did. And in doing that, I remember that night I just was in a trance like state, praying, chanting, praying for healing, praying for this pain to go away. And when I woke up the next morning, the pain was gone. It
Mm.
did not come back. And so I had no idea of anything called Reiki at that time.
Mhm.
But years later, I would say about 15 years later, I was reading a pamphlet
Mm.
about
15.
Reiki.
Mhm.
And when I read it, it was describing using your hands to heal. And I just said, well, I think I did that already. I'm pretty sure that's what I was doing. So I should take this
Right.
class so I can understand, better what I already obviously know. So I did take the class. It was actually a brother who came from New York. He was a student of Baba Samaj and also some healers from there in New York. And that's, I saw the pamphlet at the African Street Festival up there in Brooklyn. So, and that was about 2000. And we connected, and I ended up taking a class with him. And he was going to give me Reiki level 1 and 2 in that weekend. But
Mhm.
his spirit guides told him to attune me to 1, 2, and to level 3 in that weekend. So it was like a true activation of my own, spirit, because we all have the memory of who we are in our DNA. It's
That's
just
right.
a matter of us, connecting with that so that we can really live according to my purpose, to our purpose.
Right.
And so that's what it was for me, getting that attunement. It was right around the time that the Sacred Woman book came out. And I was guided to start doing Sacred Women circles. I began this path of cleansing. And I had already read Heal Thyself like years before that. So I was already on the path. So when, the Sacred Women book came out and I got this attunement, it was just, I went through a quickening. Okay. I was in my early 30s. It was around my Saturn return. So it was setting me up for my life work, getting these initiations, going through this cleansing. I did several enemas. I did a lot of personal work. And became I, I opened up my mediumship skills, which I had already had conversations with my guides who I was not seeing, but I knew that I wasn't alone from the time that I was a young child. And
Mhm.
so, as I went through these initiations around that time, it just kind of woke everything up. And I began to get messages and I was seeing visions and all kinds of, it was just a beautiful, beautiful experience. So that's really what opened the way for Ra Sekhi to come through and for me to connect with the great Mother Sekhmet to know, um, what I came back here to do on this planet.
Mm. Mm. Wow. Wow. So you have this pain, it goes away. Let me say that again. You have this pain and you heal yourself and it goes away. And then 15 years later, you're like, wait a minute, I, I did that. That's so amazing to have a
Yeah.
realization, to put a name on what it is that you did for yourself. So you must have had a lot of confidence in yourself that you could do that.
Yes, yes, I did. I was I was raised the only child for most of my childhood, so
Mhm.
I developed having thank you, sweetie. I developed a good knowing within myself. I
Right.
was, we were latchkey children, so I spent a lot of time alone. But again, I knew that I wasn't alone, and
Mm.
that really did help me. I remember having experiences of being in certain places and hearing a voice saying, "It's time for you to go now." And I would
Mm.
leave and later find out that some kind of fight broke out or some mishap happened, and I was able to avoid it because I listened to my intuition to tell me to go. So
Mm.
I would say I did learn to listen to my higher self, to my spirit guides, to my
Thank you.
intuition, at an early age to trust myself. That definitely helped a lot.
That's really that's really mature. Mature isn't quite the right word, but it's really like you were listening to your guides, and what your purpose was kind of coming out of you at that time without even you knowing it, guiding you to make those decisions. So what is the difference between uh Reiki? Let's talk, let's before we do the difference, what is Reiki? What's Reiki?
So, Reiki is that union of the infinite energy with our own personal life force energy. And we use it to cultivate our energy so that we can master energy and be able to use energy to heal, to use it to build, to manifest, or whatever it is that we want to do. So, I personally feel our ancient Kemetic ancestors were, I mean, people still to this day can't figure out how they made those pyramids.
And I
But
love it.
I know, right?
I
And it's
love
because
that.
they were masters of energy. They
Mhm.
were able to move things without the great machines that they have built over time. They were able to fly, and project themselves through time and space. And so, that's where we come from. And so the energy of Reiki is that, is the energy of high frequency vibration that is connected to the infinite energy that's around us, so that we're able to be the greatest, the gods and goddesses that we are, basically. So right now we use it primarily for healing, because we have a lot of healing that we need to do. We have suffered through so much trauma.
I
We have
see.
suffered through struggles, through things that no one else on the planet has suffered through. And so the Reiki for us is really for us to bring ourselves into balance.
Mm,
And the difference is our system is much more complete. It's a spiritual based system, it's an
okay.
African centered system. And so we understand that other people came along to take bits and pieces of our culture to use it for themselves, which is great. It's fine. Asian Reiki, it works for a lot of people. But it's like the difference between the Catholic Church and the Holy Rollers Church. You could go there to, the Catholic Church, and, this.
Oh, my connection. What's going on?
Okay, you can't hear me. So the energy when we're
Oh,
doing our Reiki is much stronger. Can you hear me
I
still?
can hear you. I can hear you now. Okay, good, good.
So it's, we don't have, because it's just more full. We're using sound therapy, we use crystal therapy, color therapy, aromatherapy, everything in our healing practice, in our Reiki sessions, because we need all of those things in order to bring ourselves into balance. So our system is it. We stand on the foundation of Ma'at. We have to heal our minds. So we start with reprogramming ourselves to remember that we're supposed to live with good character and integrity.
That's right.
Because how can we, heal without that? You know what I mean? So it's a purification of our minds. We purify our hearts. Most of us are walking around, we have been heartbroken. We are having a lot of heart issues and heart disease because our hearts have been broken over and over again as melanated beings in this society, dealing with racism, dealing with oppression, and the effects of it that we've had to deal with and still deal with to this day. So we have to purify our hearts. We have to make our hearts lighter. When we talk about living with Ma'at and having our hearts as light as a feather, how do we do that? Most of us don't have a clue. So Ra Sekhi Comedic
Mm,
Reiki helps us to understand those steps that we can take to make our hearts lighter. We also deal with the physical body, and most people, when we get sick, that's the first thing that we think about healing, because we get the pains in the body and we want to address the pain. So with Western medicine, they're going to give you a pill to numb the pain, but that's not the cure.
no, ma'am.
We have to go deeper, to really heal. Because, excuse me, we don't want to be on those pills for the rest of our lives. That's not natural for anyone. We should be, and the body is capable of healing itself. The way the Most High made us, we are divine beings, and our entire immune system fights for us to live. No matter what is going on, it's going to continue to fight disease and germs so that we can live. So when we give our physical bodies the help and assistance that we need, to kick our immune systems into really doing that, we don't need to go outside of ourselves for anything else.
That's right. That's right. Yes. I
Mm.
like that you added all of everything else, the sound therapy, the color therapy, aromatherapy. I didn't know that was a part of it. I thought it was just physical, hands-on energy work to heal the body. Yes, that sounds like a really comprehensive, thorough, holistic experience to address whatever is ailing you at that time, even if you can't put a finger on it, literally and figuratively.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. It has to be holistic. That's what the great teachers taught us, Dr. Sebi, Dr. Africa, Dr. Paul Goss. We have to heal our entire, we have different aspects of ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
We have our spirits that we have to heal, and
That's right.
without having a strong spiritual connection, you will have some type of sickness, whether it's physical or mental or emotional. So, that is that's why we do use everything that has a frequency.
Mm-hmm.
And so sounds, crystals, herbs, and plants have frequency,
Mm-hmm.
um, even fragrances, certain incense. If you burn, a lot of us have been burning sage because we know it clears negativity and it shifts the vibration, it shifts the ions in the air.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely helps to kill germs and certain other things that can be, in the air, frankincense and stuff like that. So all of these things, which are a part of our culture, are also a part of our healing process.
Mm-hmm. Mm. On the weekends, when my mom would clean the house, and I would either hear some Earth, Wind, and Fire, Kool and the Gang type music, or
Yes.
Bob Marley, and incense. My mom burned incense, and I grew up. My dad definitely burned incense in his house, and I burn incense every day. There's a candle burning right now, and I have incense burning all the time, no matter what's going on. And it just it makes everything better in terms of the energy in your space, no matter what you're doing, having a good day, bad day, or whatever. So it's interesting that, you've practiced in different spiritual walks. There's this tri-sectional cross section these past couple of weeks with Easter and Good Friday and Ramadan and Passover. So I wanted
Mhm.
to kind of talk about that a little bit. First, I'm going to mention Ramadan with fasting, and it says here that you're certified in detoxing and fasting. Can you explain some of the benefits of fasting? What is a fast? What is a detox? What's a cleanse? And how is the body changed after the 40 days of Ramadan, based in your opinion?
So fasting is definitely a part of our traditions. And we are in a time now where most of us overeat, and
Mm-hmm.
also we're consuming things that is not even real food. We're living in a time now where they have put poison in the food, the water, and the air. So there are a lot of toxins and poisons that are being distributed amongst the people. So the fasting for us now is even more important because that is the way that we give our bodies an opportunity to clear itself of toxins. Okay. Once we stop eating, chewing foods for a period of time, the body, like I was saying before, our immune system begins to kick in overdrive, and our body begins to do the work of clearing the things that are not good for us, the things that um, have been lingering. And most people don't even understand that our bodies are not made to digest meat. So carnivores have certain teeth to break down the meat. They also have more than one stomach, and they do not have the 27 or more or less feet of intestines. So when we're eating meat, it tends to linger within us much longer because of the way our bodies are made. So, fasting gives us an opportunity to digest some of that material that just sits because most people are eating 2 and 3 or more meals a day, which is a lot for the human body to digest and function properly. And so, having that meat product, which can take 3 or more days to digest, is just going to make us um, accumulate toxins within our colons and throughout the other organs as well, the digestive organs. So the fasting is very good for us physically to give us an opportunity to cleanse. But also, when we do the physical cleansing, it gives our bodies an opportunity to do some emotional cleansing,
Mm-hmm.
and some spiritual cleansing as well, even mental cleansing. We don't realize how cloudy our minds can be
Mm-hmm.
until we fast and juice for a few days and start to get that real clear mind. You become lighter in every single way when you're fasting. So that is why the spiritual systems have set in place a period of time for the people to take the time to fast and to it's also about self-control and mastering yourself,
Mm-hmm.
because to be able to stop eating for a period of time, it takes quite a bit of discipline. And that discipline is also um, a part of our spiritual power, right?
That's
It's a
right.
part of our uh, mastering our being. If we can't control ourselves and what we eat, then we probably can't control ourselves in other ways as well. So, that is something that is a grown up thing, but we can also allow our children to learn as young people the importance of fasting for those reasons. So it's something that, everyone can benefit from. And I know anyone who knows someone who is fasting, they might be irritable for the first few days because it's just, that adjustment period. But once those 40 days or whatever period of time is over, those people are shining brightly, light as a feather, happy, peaceful, just a joy to be around because they've done that work, that internal work. Fasting gives us a time to, just like we're releasing the toxins from our bodies, we have an opportunity to release the internal stuff that may be going on with us.
That's right.
So
That's
we
right.
get that chance to do some shadow work, some inner child work to address whatever other issues that might need to be addressed. One thing about us when we go through traumatic experiences is that we tend to want to push it back to the back of our minds, act like it didn't happen. And mostly that's a defense mechanism because we got to get up and go to work. We got to, be with the family. We got all these other things that are there. And so we might not have the time to address our feelings. So when you take the time to fast, that's a perfect opportunity to address some of those things that you had pushed back, and just imagine everyone doing that every year, once a year. We all fasted. Just imagine how much lighter our community would be. We're very thankful for those who do. And even if you don't fast for Ramadan, you still have an opportunity because our ancestors would fast all through the year and especially during certain seasons. So that's why, the Passover, I think they call it Lent, I believe, it happens at a particular time
Mm-hmm.
because it's a seasonal change. And many of us remember our grandmas coming out of the winter, moving into the spring. Everybody in the house had to take that castor oil or cod liver oil or poke root or whatever, something to clean yourself out. This is it's a big part of our culture and our healing as well.
Yes, and I remember being a child, and you would see little red douchebags hanging in the shower,
Yes,
and
that's
I had
right.
no idea what that was when I was a little girl. I'm like, what is that? But when you get older, you recognize that there is this, just like what you were saying, there's this memory of what it is that our ancestors did, oh,
Mhm.
so long ago. When I first started fasting, just the mental clarity is like something that you would never have before. So I started trying fasting like right out of college,
Mhm.
um, and so I was putting things together, walking in this path, not realizing that I was walking in this path. I've always been a bit, when I saw in your bio, you said tree hugger. I would call myself, and still do, would call myself a tree hugger. And I've done different things putting it together. So I tried to detox. And I remember I was doing this with my friend Angel. I'm like, Angel, let's do this 48-hour strawberry detox or fast or whatever. And so you would get this, we got this bottle, and she got a bottle. You had to mix it with water. And I did it for like 4 hours. I was like, girl, I ate some food, girl. She was like, I did too. I was like, this is hard. And it was, and in retrospect, yes, you want to do it with a buddy, but if there isn't like an overarching understanding of the emotional, psychological, and spiritual aspect to fasting. And also, I didn't have an understanding of colon health the way that I do now. So I was just sitting around looking at the clock like, dang, 48 hours. I only got I got 44 more hours left. And it was a good effort, but that's not exactly how you do a fast where you're just sitting and watching the time.
Right.
A fast has kind of an oxymoronic name to it because it actually stops you from doing certain things and slows you down in the amount of food you eat, in the kind of food you eat. And it really makes you sit still like your great grandmama used to make you do.
That's
and you know what I'm saying? And so you're still, and you have an opportunity to reconnect with your physical body. You reconnect with your physical body first. Then you're able to connect with your emotional body. These are the things that are tangible. Your physical body you can touch right now. Your emotions, we all know what emotions are. Then you can connect to your psychological mind. That's when you really start getting a little deeper.
right.
Then you can get tap into that spirit world. And in between the psychological connection and the spirit world is that clarity in your mind that the first time you can think that clear, you like, what? I've been
Yes.
through this for how long? Are you kidding me? I can
That's
think
right.
like this. So
Mhm.
your physical food does contribute to your spiritual existence because the
Mhm.
spirit and the mind, the body and the spirit are connected. They're not disconnected. They're not in separate entities. So I just remember having that experience, and my dreams, they're more vivid. It's amazing. It is amazing. And I recommend that everyone do that. I also remember giving myself my first enema. You give yourself an enema while you're fasting, and you just feel so completely cleaned out physically, and just it is completely totally worth it to do your fast with some guidance. Now, on a sidebar, this is how I feel my body is when I cleanse. Just like you said at the end of Ramadan, everyone's happy. You know that song Lionel Richie sang, "Hello, is it me you're looking for?" So the hello part is how I
Mhm.
feel that my insides are, from my
Mhm.
mouth all the way down to my colon. Like you could just
Mhm.
say hello and you'd hear it on the other side. Because I be feeling so clean and chipper and happy. I'm already energetic, but I just be all,
Mhm.
you know what I'm saying? Anyway,
Yes,
that
yes.
being said, one of the reasons we do Tuesday Talk is to give you tangible tools to heal. You know, we've heard about how uh, Reiki is something that isn't just a physical touch. There's aromatherapy, sound therapy, crystal therapy, all of that goes into it. So I ask you all to look into Reiki, read it for yourself, learn about it for yourself. These are tools that you can use that are tangible tools immediately to keep you in your Kemetic space, your African spiritual space, and your Pan African space. Okay. Second thing is, we also talked about um, the colonic, not the colonic, the enema that you can give yourself. I want to dive into the importance of colon health, uterine health, and the prostate. Sorry, guys,
Mhm.
I live in New York City, so we had some visitors go by. So let's shift and talk about colon health, the health of your uterus, and discussing fibroids, which is something that is plagues a lot of Black women, as
Yeah.
well as prostate health.
Yes. So most people don't realize how close the colon is to the reproductive organs, and understanding that they're just right next to each other. So if your colon is impacted, it's going to automatically affect your reproductive organs because they're right next to each other. And so I remember Dr. Africa used to always say disease begins in the colon, because of the amount of foods that we're eating and the types of foods that we're eating, and the body is not able to, the body just cannot possibly digest meat every day. If you're eating it even once a day, every day, it's just too much. So over time, the colon becomes impacted, and that means you become constipated, because if you're not making a bowel movement every time that you eat, just like a little tiny baby, you are constipated. Okay, that the body is meant to work just like that. Okay, so most people don't. Most people go once a day, some people even less than that. And when you get to that point, then you know that it is a problem, and that those enemas would be helpful. Taking some herbs that work as laxatives like aloe vera and Cascara sagrada can be helpful. And then even getting the colonic is also something. Fasting, all of those things should be done, because until you get back to that place where you are making 2 and 3 bowel movements a day, then you're on the path of disease, really. So it comes in the form of fibroids for women, a lot of even having cramps when you have a menstrual cycle. You're not supposed to have cramps. If you're eating light and eating right, you won't even know when the cycle is coming, because that's just how the body is meant to work, I
That's
suppose.
right. No, I agree with you on that.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Mhm.
So, and then for the men, so many of them are now suffering with the erectile dysfunction and such. And again, it is directly related to the foods that we're eating and the lack of cleansing that we're doing. So, for us to maintain good health and to have longevity, you know, to live past 50. And we've seen so many Black men last year. It was like every week, it seemed like someone that we all knew and recognized was making their transition because of health related issues. So all of those things start with a compacted colon. It starts with us being constipated, not drinking enough water, not taking herbs to help our bodies to clear, not doing any fasting and detox, and some people not even exercising and moving, because if you're not moving your body, that's automatically going to lead to constipation as well, because things get stuck when you don't move.
That's true.
So, and those things contribute to that womb disease and the disease with the prostrates, which those are serious problems in our communities. And I'm hearing even, and maybe 20 years ago, that was an issue for women in their 40s, 50s, men in their 40s, 50s. But now these things are affecting women when they're in their 20s, and the men as well, having the problems
Awful.
in
Mm.
their 20s and 30s. But it's directly related to the amount of poisons and toxins that are in the so-called foods that we are eating.
Hmm.
And especially for us melanated people, a lot of us live in food deserts. So we can only get things to eat from the corner store. We're not able to get any fresh fruits and vegetables and stuff like that from the corner store. Most of the time, it's something in a package that has 20 million preservatives in it. And the body can't even recognize a lot of those preservatives. When we eat that red hot stuff that they put on the chips, when we consume that, it's immediately seen like a poison in our system, because it's a
Right.
man-made chemical. It's not even a natural thing. And so that is a part of the problem. So to really heal ourselves, we have to have more knowledge. We have to change those eating habits and stop eating that slave food. You know, there's no reason why we should be eating feet, pig,
Chitlins,
any of that. We should not be
beef,
eating gizzards,
oxtail. Please stop.
none of that. Livers and stuff like that. Mm-mm.
Come on, people.
Um, Especially when there are just so many vegetables there out there that are natural. I mean, we could go out in the woods and find some stuff that we could eat that has a higher nutritional content than those meat products.
Mm-hmm.
So, excuse me, stuff like burdock root, chickweed, these things grow all over the South. I don't know about y'all up there up north, but
Mm-hmm.
y'all got cousins. You
Right,
have
right,
people,
right.
you have, connections. And that is the direction that we are moving in,
Yes,
as
it
we're
is.
moving to be more healthy, and even society, because they have realized they cannot, it's not enough chickens to feed all the restaurants, all the schools, they ran out of chicken a long time ago. That's why they've been cloning meat and serving rat and cat and
Whew.
everything else, calling it chicken. Um, so the world is moving towards a more plant-based lifestyle,
Mm-hmm.
and we need to be, well, I think we are some of the pioneers in that movement, because we've been eating ital and been vegetarian for a long time. Dick Gregory taught us about that. So we definitely will benefit from continuing to move on that path, to grow our own foods, to go ahead and invest in those heirloom seeds that are not the Monsanto seeds, but the
Mm-hmm.
real, like real food from the Most High. We still can get that food, y'all. Don't let them fool you. And we should, because that's how we maintain health. And when you travel to other countries, going to Jamaica or Mexico, and especially Africa, you will see real food. And when you eat that food, you could taste the difference, and your body can feel the difference.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm.
So you bring up a lot of really good points. I'm gonna go back to when we were talking about colon health. One of the things that my mom had me do when I was a little girl was when I went number two, she wanted to look at my poop.
Mm.
And she said, so when you go number two, don't flush it, call me so I can take a look at it. And
Mhm.
when I thought that was normal, and it should be normal. And I
Mhm.
understand now what she was doing. She was making sure that I was having regular bowel movements,
Mhm.
and she was checking the health, if you will, of my poops, of my
Right.
stool. And I look at my poop every day. Every time I poop, I look at it
Mhm.
because little little tidbit on Abut Seshat. There you go.
Mhm.
And it's because that's how I was raised. My mom looked at my poop, so I was looking at my poop when she was looking at it, and I just continue to do that. What does that teach me? The girth of your poop is directly related to the space in which it's coming out of your colon. If your
Mhm.
poop is thin, you have an impacted colon. You have poop around the rim of your whole colon. I'm not using the right terms because I'm not a doctor and I whatever. But this is information that's good. And when you do a cleanse, when you change your diet, when you eat your apple a day, when you have your roughage, when you're drinking your water, you can take your Cascada Sagrada. Your poop is going to have a thicker girth. Okay,
Mhm.
because that means that it's filling the space of your colon. The size of your of your stool is the size of the space available. So if it's small and thin, then you have an impacted colon. You got to fast, you got to detox, cleanse, you got to do a colonoscopy. Why should you fast while you're giving yourself an enema? You fast so your body can stop bringing in new food. It can
Right.
digest what you have, and meanwhile you're cleaning out what's already there. It's like a club. When it's packed, the fire marshals say no more. You got to wait for people to leave. It's the same thing. This is a really great analogy, people. I think you
Mhm.
understand what's going on there. Okay, so
Mhm.
there's that. um, if you're not pooping every time you eat, it is not healthy, period. I remember going to college. I poop every time I eat, period, my whole life.
Mm-hmm.
I met some girls, they were from the deep south, and she was saying that she pooped once a week.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like,
That's
I had never
scary.
heard of such a thing. Had never heard of that. So I didn't even know that was a thing.
Right.
And so I was like, you only poop once a week? And she was like, she said to me, ew, you poop all the time. You're always pooping. I'm like, ew, you have poop in your body.
Right.
You're walking around with poop in your body. And I intuitively knew what goes in's got to go out. So you should poop as often as you eat. I remember this conversation like it was yesterday because I just had no concept of this. Because my mom, you know, I don't know if you'd call it plant-based, but it was plant. It was based around plants, meaning we ate a lot of vegetables. I ate a lot of roughage.
Mm-hmm.
She cooked a meal every day. She didn't feed me a whole lot of fast food. When I went with my dad and my half brothers, we'd go skiing. I got McDonald's with my dad. I knew that it was so much fun. We went, he'd pick us all up. We go skiing at McDonald's, had a good time, fall asleep in the van. He would drop us off. But for the most part, that I ate healthy food, checking my poop once, every time I go. It's really important for you to be on a cycle and for you to understand that things are cyclical. What comes in must go out. It is balance. It's reciprocity, if you will, in the sense of keeping everything in line. Okay. So I just want to kind of nail down on that. That's something you can do. You can have an apple a day. You can eat your roughage. You can go get an enema bag. Give yourself an enema. Get your colon checked. If you're 50 or older, do what your doctor says to keep your colon clean. Okay, this is low-hanging fruit, pardon the pun, and it's something that you can do when you immediately get off this call. Cascada Sagrada can help you as well. Now, let me say this. If you're going to use Cascada Sagrada, if you're going to give yourself an enema, stay home. Don't be trying it and you going out. Don't bring your friend over. It's your first time y'all hanging out. It's going to be a problem because you don't know what's going to happen in your body. You might have some, you might cramp a little bit, it might be a little uncomfortable because it's loosening up all that gook and it's excavating, if you will, everything out of you. All right. It's worth it. Do it. Drink your water when you do this, have your electrolytes, and it might feel like a bit of an exorcism, but it is a bit of an exorcism. You're going to feel better in like 3 or 4 days. Okay.
Absolutely.
It's worth it. And then on the other side, you're going to be like Rocky when he runs up the steps. You're going to be like, yay. Where's the camera? Yay. You're going to feel so much better. Once you feel that, there's no going back. You'll always, you know what I'm saying? You'll always know what that feels like. So when you don't feel like that, now you have a marker of health. That's one marker of health that you have. All right, people. Again, tangible tools. Amazon. Google on Amazon. Look on Amazon for an enema bag and Cascada Sagrada. Make sure it's organic and it's heirloom, and get working on your health, guys. There's this packet called Washout, and I was working someplace. This guy's Jamaican. He was like, "Do you cleanse?" I said, yeah. Do you fast and stuff like that? We're talking about enemas. Yeah. I said, yeah, I do that. And he mentioned to me Washout. I was like, what's that? And then he explained to me what it is. It's this little bag it looks like a yellow envelope. It tastes awful. It's the worst thing ever on the planet. It's so good for you though. If you take it back again. Hello, is it me you're looking for? That's how you're gonna feel. All right. So we've given you some good stuff. I hope that you guys use that. Now I want to shift to, let's focus on the uterus and fibroids. What are fibroids, and what herbs would you recommend for shrinking them and getting rid of them completely?
So fibroids are a combination of toxins that are in our body. It's mucus that we are holding in our wombs, and also emotional energy. So even though we don't see sadness, it becomes a thing in our bodies. And one thing that it can become is a fibroid tumor. And so they they can be different sizes, and they could cause blockage in the womb. And to help to clear them, I encourage people to do a few things. You want to take some herbs like Don Quay, Queen of the Meadow. You will have to do some cleansing of the colon. We already mentioned the Cascara Sagrada. Aloe vera is one of my favorite herbs to use because it's native to our land. It's all over Africa, all over the Caribbean islands. And it helps to clear mucus from the body, wherever the mucus is. I
Mm.
always suggest aloe vera as well. Also, doing castor oil packs because the castor oil can help to break down those tumors. So you basically just rub it all over the womb and then put a hot water bottle or a heated blanket over it so that the warmth can help that castor oil to really be absorbed into the body. And doing that every day consistently for a period of time can help to break down those tumors. Also, the yoni steams. Now, not just the regular old yoni steam, like you really will have to find a yoni steam practitioner who knows what they're doing because they can steam your wound with particular herbs that will also help to break down those fibroid tumors. Um, One of our favorite people, a herbalist that is known for her womb detox tonics, is her name is Dr. Eshe, and we call her the Herb Lady, and she has a list of women who has taken her products and have been able to release those fibroid tumors naturally without surgery, just with taking those tonics. And then, of course, you do have to change your eating habits. You do want to do whatever emotional clearing that you need to do. So, if you're sad or mad or angry about something, you need to have a conversation about it. Most of the time, in order for you to lighten your feelings, it's just having an actual conversation with someone to tell them about your feelings. So the tumors are like feelings that have been held in for a long, 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 long time. But once you start to open up and speak about them, that too helps them to dissipate and to break up as well. So those would be my
Oh
suggestions.
wow, that was awesome. Can you? So I see Shankashi's in the chat, and I have Seneb Cortia. These are women who are members of the Shrine of Ma'at. Can you name one more time the name of the herb lady, and so that someone can write that in the chat, and I can tag it so that we can all see
Oh, yes. Her name is Dr. Eshe, Eshe, the herb lady.
the herb lady? Can we
Hmm.
find her online in
Yes.
Brooklyn?
She's in Atlanta. Sorry. Atlanta is little New York.
Right, right, right,
But
right.
yeah, that's her name right there. If you Google her, I'm sure she would come up. And I believe she's been making those herb tonics for a good 15 to 20 years. So I know at least 20 women myself that have had good results from using her tonics. Um, but also doing the changing of your eating habits, doing the exercise, the workouts, the yoni steams is all a part of that healing process. That's one thing that we really need to know as a community, because a lot of times people will come to us, medicine women, the natural women who are healing, and they want a quick fix. And when you have been having your body in a disease state for many years, there is no quick fix. There's going to be some hard work required
That's
for
right.
you to restore your body back to a place of balance. And so that's why Dr. Sebi would just bring people all the way to Honduras, let you stay here for a month, 2 months, 3 months, even up to 6 months or longer, so that you can actually change your eating habits, so that you can actually, give your body what it needs to restore itself.
Hmm.
So, natural remedies work. I've been doing them for over 20 years myself, about 30 years, to be honest with you. And I've helped put cancer into remission and all kind of other things like that. but it's always a combination of things. It's the Reiki healing energy, it's the affirmations and the prayer work, it's the herbal remedies, it's the sound therapy, it's all of that. You know, we are in a state of disease. We want to go hard with it. You know what I mean? But the young people say, go hard or go home. It's no better time to go hard than when you're trying to heal yourself.
That's right.
That's the time that you want to do the fasting, the juicing, and everything else that you can. Because again, the water that we're drinking, if you're drinking water out those plastic water bottles, it's poison in there. If you're drinking water from your tap, it's poison in there. It's poison in the the things that they're spraying on the vegetables to keep the little bugs off of them. It's poison in those packaged foods. If you're eating any fast food, you mentioned McDonald's earlier. Now, the McDonald's from 30 years ago is not McDonald's today, okay?
For
so
sure.
Any of that fast food that they're serving, it has a bit of plastic in us. They told us the Subway bread has the same thing that's in a yoga mat. You can smell it if you have a sensitive nose. So I'm just saying all that to say, there are a lot of poisons that we have to clear from our body. And the tumors, they are a combination of those poisons that we cannot digest, but also mucus from the mucus forming foods, the poison in the water. And then we cannot forget it's the spiritual disconnect. Excuse me, the emotional trauma that we go through. Because again, like all of us who are dealing with heart issues, we've had our hearts broken several times and still healing the heart. And how do we heal with love? So it's so many things, you know, when it comes to healing that we just need to be more conscious of so that we can bring ourselves to a higher state of being and then raise our children to be in a higher state of being, because we don't even want them to get to where we are right now. That's the whole purpose of us learning and changing and doing something different. It's not just to benefit ourselves, but it's also to benefit those who come after us as well.
So they never even have to be in a disease state.
Exactly. So
yeah, I had to blow that out. Don't want to burn the house down.
don't do that.
Thank you for that really in-depth explanation, especially as it pertains to the fibroids. Now let's shift to the prostate, and then we'll do erectile dysfunction. What can we do so that our men can have healthy prostates?
So for the men, I would say one of the biggest contributors to their problems is the preservatives in the food. So sulfates, you know, men like to eat a lot of sandwiches, but that white flour is glue. You know what I mean? If you mix white flour with water, it can be a glue-like substance. So that is something that men should avoid, I would say. And then the sandwich meats, those hams, the sausages, the hot dogs, that's just there's a lot of chemicals there. There's very little actual food there. So restricting and avoiding those things would be at the top of the list. The pizza and all that junk food and stuff like that is definitely hurting a lot of men in their sexual functions. But also for the men, Dr. Africa used to talk about having sexual seasons. So if you pay attention to the animal kingdom, they have a mating season. Most animals, they do not have sex with each other all year round because there's other things that they have to focus on. So they have a season. And so for us, we don't have that type of culture right now. I'm sure that we did in the past. But the over releasing of the seminal fluid is also a contributing factor to men having the erectile dysfunction. So basically, men are being active too much. these days, especially our men. And it's a big part of it is because, when we were living in a more natural setting, the brothers would be out hunting, climbing trees to get the coconuts, doing all kind of extra things physically. So they were using their energy in a more physical way, in other ways other than sexually. Now, here in America, the men don't have the opportunity to do those things.
Right.
So black men, if anybody who has a son will tell you, nobody has energy like a young black man. They can go, okay? And because they don't have the outlets unless they're playing sports, they have a lot of energy and they tend to use it sexually because they have to channel it. Otherwise, it'll build up. They become angry, over aggressive, and all of that as a result of it. So the over sexualization of our community is a problem as well, especially for the men, and has led to them having some sexual dysfunction. And so to remedy that is to have the control where you have an orgasm but don't release sexually the seminal fluid, but to I can't think of the term, but they are
Semen
supposed,
retention. Semen
yes,
retention.
yes, they're supposed to retain it, and that would strengthen the men as opposed to making them weaker. I'll never forget that lesson Dr. Africa taught us, because we most of us, we just don't know about it. I haven't heard any other teacher talk about it as much either since that time, but that is a problem. So for men to have that retention and then to be more conscious of their eating habits and to use certain herbs. So we know soft palmetto is helpful for the brothers, ginseng, there's one called yohimbe, there's a Caribbean herb, I think it's horny goat weed, something like that. But definitely reaching back to our roots from Africa, from the islands, because they still have a lot of herbs that we've been using for thousands and thousands of years. And for us to go and get those herbs, those are the ones that are most helpful for us, actually.
Listen, brothers, she laid it out. She gave you the herbs, sisters. She gave us the herbs in the process. Roll it back. And we've got the website for Dr. Eshe and the herbs that are used. And remember, just a reminder, heirloom means that it's non-GMO. It was not created in a lab, and it is the seed of the plant that your great grandmama had. It means it's real food. It's
Right.
unadulterated, unmolested, untampered with, unbothered. It's in it, and it comes from an old stock that has been kept real, if you will. It's crazy we have to say this is real food.
Right.
Organic means the way something is grown. What kind of soil is it? What kind of food was it given? What kind was it sprayed with pesticides? How was it treated? Did it have there are natural ways to keep insects and animals away from your food. Was that used? So don't confuse or interchange heirloom and organic, because they mean two different things. You always want to get both if you can, but heirloom for sure, because that's the real, that is actual food. Those are actual seeds. Okay. And when you're having your citrus fruits like lemons and limes and oranges, grapefruits, etc., make sure it has seeds. Because where did it come from? Where did that one come from with no seeds? It ain't real.
Not real.
Don't eat it. Basic stuff, y'all. No
Mm-hmm.
seeds, ain't real. Put it down. When I shop and get organic, I want them to open that grapefruit. I want to see what's in it. I have had them do that. Open this bad boy up. I say it nicer than that, but they open the bad boy up and I see what's up in there. The seeds are there. Then boom, I know that those fruit have their seeds. The best thing is to get to growing your own or finding a reputable source. Because I live in New York City, and I also visit my mom in Connecticut. We have a garden in Connecticut. So the hardiness zones are different. Hardiness just means what you can grow, when you need to plant, when you need to harvest, and what it needs based upon the climate, the temperature, moisture, sunlight, and really in the Northeast, temperature when you have your first and last frost. That's what hardiness means in a nutshell, very quickly. If you live in Connecticut or New York or Chicago, someplace cold, find something down south somewhere, y'all. And y'all need to make some connections so that you can get your food. If you're from the Caribbean, stay in touch with your peoples. You can go
Yes.
get it, bring it back, do something. Because that, just like what was stated earlier, that's where you have some of the, real food and food that you can't get. I went to Guatemala in 2010 for 10 days at a Spanish school, right? You fly in and you take this 4-hour bus ride across the country into Guatemala City. This lady picks you up. My mom thought I was crazy. She's like, how's she gonna know it's you? Well, she's gonna be outside holding a sign with my name on the sign. Like, she was like, Sai, you're going to Guatemala and you're waiting for a lady with a sign with your name on it? I was like, yes. Anyway, the lady with the sign picked me up, go to her house. I'm exhausted. And I was a little mentally drained because I knew as a Black woman in Guatemala, I was the tallest person there at 5'4", the blackest person there. And so clearly I'm not native to Guatemala. And I knew my Spanish was going to keep me safe. So I was a little mentally drained because I had to think and speak in Spanish immediately, right? Boom. So we get to the lady's house. I'm exhausted. She makes some chicken and some lemon zinger tea. I'm like, all right, boom. Eat the chicken. I was like, oh my God, this chicken tastes so good. Now I'm Black, y'all. I've had chicken before, but to her point from earlier, it tasted so much different. I literally was like, oh my goodness, over some chicken. Why is that? Because in this small part of this village part of Guatemala, where you had not Mayan, you still had Mayan people who lived there, who were practicing their religion blended with the Catholic Church, which was the first time I saw a synchronized religion with my own eyes. I was like, what is this? But I didn't say that, but I take note of stuff that I don't know what's going on. And so there was still some native culture preserved. And I assume that also meant with their food, right? And so when it was mentioned that the food tastes different in other countries, it will shock you how different food tastes. Now, I'm not saying start eating chicken so you can compare it. I'm not saying that. I'm saying 13 years ago I was in Guatemala and I tasted the difference even before I was able to get myself into this spiritual space. I realized I was always walking towards it. And another thing about the power of herbs, I've been using herbs for about 23 years. And I first started because I had allergies, and I'm like, I'm not the first person on the planet with allergies who use allergies medicine before Allegra. I'm not using Allegra forever. That's what I'm not going to do. So where is this herb? It's somewhere. Somebody got it. I'm gonna find it, right? So this was kind of at the beginning of the internet, and I found this place, and I'm not going to give the name of the website because they have new owners and the whole joint is different. But back then it was just these two people. I think they were just like hippie white people. They were, because I saw them on YouTube later. Just hippies out in Arizona chilling, making herbs, growing herbs, selling herbs. They only corresponded via email. You couldn't get them. You couldn't get them on the phone. I even asked. I'm like, I've been dealing with y'all. How come we can't talk? It's like, it's cheaper. Just email us. Anyway, long story short, there was this female herb that combination. Now, I never had serious cramps. I had minor cramps. My boobs would get super sore. Why am I sharing this with you? You'll find out in a minute. They would get so sore the day before I started my period. Then the next day, I would have a pretty uneventful three-day period, and not heavy all 3 days, just 3 days of shedding, right? And that was it. Very uneventful. Not a week, not 10 days, not heavy bleeding, not changing your pads or tampons every hour. And these were some of the white girls I went to school with, because I went to prep school in Connecticut. These aren't even the sisters who had it, right? So then after a while, I had no symptoms when I was using these herbs. And eventually I would be like, oh my goodness, I just started my period, because I had no warning. I didn't have that day before. So just like what you were saying earlier, you get to a point where you don't even know when you're going to have it. And so I'm exercising regularly, maintaining my weight, maintaining my percent body fat, pooping every time I eat, checking the poop, fasting every once in a while, or at least trying at that point, taking the herbs. Your girl was looking good. Period would just come out of nowhere. No symptoms whatsoever. And so even when you live a relatively healthy life, when you introduce herbs into your life, then you can sense the difference and feel the difference, and you can literally see the difference. I haven't had a symptom for my period for over 20 something years, because I don't necessarily even take those herbs anymore, because like I said, it's different owners. But because I do take herbs now, and I have read about them, and ever since then, when I try to get something for my allergies, it opened up this whole world of herbs to me. And there's no looking back from that.
Mm.
So living a regular life where you wake and sleep regularly, eat your food, have your salads, eat an apple a day, do all of the things that we've been discussing on this show, what we've been discussing tonight, and all of that, it really makes a difference in your health. Now, I'm going to segue into erectile dysfunction, talking about salads. Baba Paor, I don't know if you guys know Baba Paor or not, but he had this salad. It was an amazing salad. Oh my goodness, the name of it slips my mind at this point. But consuming salads helps with erections. Brothers, are you consuming your salads? Are you eating your salads? Y'all
Mm.
need to be eating your salads. Why? Helps with erections, and it keeps your colon clean.
Yes.
Roughage cleans you out. Simple salad every day can super help with male health. So while we're in this space, um, did you give the herbs for the prostate again?
Yes, I did mention the saw palmetto,
That's right, supplement.
the
Mm-hmm.
yohimbe, the horny goat weed is another one. Ginseng also can be helpful. Those are my top ones. But
And you,
like you mentioned, just
mhm,
something as simple as eating salad every day, you'd be surprised how good that will feel for men and women.
mhm,
And then the fresh juice also, because of the nutritional value of the food is just not what it used to be. When we're juicing, we're able to get the higher concentration of minerals and vitamins which our bodies need to function properly. So, then when they took the seeds out of the plants, the seed is the reproductive part of the plant. So, of
mhm.
course, it's going to affect our reproductive systems, but also it took out a bit of the nutritional value of those plants, those fruits and such as well. And so we have to do things to replace it at this time.
Right, right,
Mhm.
right. Okay, good. There is a question. Is it okay to use the castor oil treatment with a hot towel wrap?
Oh, yes, absolutely. You can use a hot towel. And also, you can, if you want to get real good with it, you can put the hot towel over you, over the castor oil, and then plastic wrap around that to make it stay warm longer, and then sleep with that overnight. And that is the full castor oil pack treatment.
Hmm. Could you put it over like your whole stomach and just break up everything?
You sure
Or-
can. You put it
Okay.
from the liver all the way down, because the liver, if your colon is impacted, then your liver is likely needing some cleansing as well. And
Mm,
so, all of those organs in between the liver and the colon will benefit from that castor oil pack, and even the colon. And then for the men, they would putting the castor oil right on their bottoms and sleeping with that. I would suggest the tighter underwear, sleeping with that with the castor oil. It really will help. Castor oil is like a magic bomb for us when it
mm.
comes to dissipating cysts and tumors, and even breaking up mucus in the body before it turns into a tumor.
Mm. It's preventative. Okay.
Absolutely.
Oh, awesome. Okay, good. So we have a question. Ignorant question. Yoni cleansing is for grown women only, or are virgins really too young? So, in as much with that, I've heard of yoni steaming, and my question is, how is it steaming the labia majora, the labia minora? How does it get into the actual uterus? Is there any kind of insertion? Like, what are the mechanics for the yoni steaming?
You gonna have to go get you a steam soon. But I'm telling you, just how you were cheering when you do that enema and you feel that cleanse, it is that for the yoni. Okay. So
All right.
basically, they're going to make a nice tea and put it under a chair that has a hole in it, and you just sit there. And they will put a gown over you so that the steam stays in, and you just sit there and allow the steam to move through your body. And so, the yoni is the bottom opening that we have. We have the mouth is the top opening, the yoni is the bottom opening. So that herbal medicine is going to go up through your womb. It's going to affect your colon. It's going to go up into those organs that I was just speaking of, up to your liver. It'll fill you. It's a beautiful divine healing process that comes from us. This is our stuff here. This is our traditions. And definitely it's helpful for a young woman if she has cramps, because even if she's a teenager and a virgin, not having sex is part of it. But a lot of our teenagers suffer from the cramps and the PMS and stuff like that, which the yoni steams can help with, because those cramps are a byproduct of toxins in the body, usually because the colon is impacted. So I do suggest, and I have a teenage daughter who I have taken to steam. They don't need to go as often as older women do who are sexually active, but yet and still, it is a helpful treatment for anyone who has any issues with the womb, especially.
I'm excited
Yeah,
about
you're
this.
gonna have to do that. Like when you asking how does it work, I'm like, what, sister? You haven't been on the pod yet?
I haven't, because I didn't understand the mechanics. I'm like, that sounds like it's gonna hurt, like steaming off,
No,
all my girl parts.
not at all. It is a beautiful. In fact, it's one of my special self-care rituals that I do for myself every few months or so. I try to do it, a few times a year, um, because it is such a divine releasing, peaceful, healing time for the womb. Our womb is our sacred center, and we don't give it enough love and attention, mostly. So this is a way to give back and to restore the womb. So I'd suggest every woman out there, if you haven't tried it yet, go ahead and do that for yourself. Make an appointment, find you a good person to go to that you could. I have one sister that takes care of my yoni. I don't go to anyone else because she does such a good job. And her space is called the Sweet Spot here in Atlanta. She has people who travel from all over the world to come to the Sweet Spot because she makes it such a beautiful ritual.
Mm,
When
mm.
yeah, I'm telling you, she's going to it's just a whole thing. It's like a 2-hour session. You're not sitting on the pot for 2 hours, but she's going to talk to you. It's just a lot more involved in it. So it becomes a really beautiful self-care ritual. And, that's the time that we're in right now. We're taking better care of ourselves. We as Black women especially have been taking care of everybody else so
Everybody.
much better than we take care of ourselves. And
Mm-hmm.
so now it's time for us to redirect some of that energy and to return it to ourselves, to love ourselves more, love our bodies, just take the best care of ourselves that we can. We have to do that. That's how we can live long and be healthy as well.
Mm. I feel like jumping on jumping on a chair with the hole in it right now.
I'm telling you.
Like, I'm gonna hit some people up. Yo, I want to go get a yoni steam. What's up in New York City with the yoni steam?
I know
Okay.
y'all have somebody up there doing them. And some people do things, some men can steam as well. It is helpful for the men with the prostate issues.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a very similar process. It's not invasive. All you're doing is sitting there and letting the steam and the herbs work.
Okay.
Hmm.
So for men, they can also do a steam, and we have um, the herbs that were mentioned. Can they also? You said they can do the castor oil treatment with like boxer briefs on.
Yes, yes.
So they would rub castor oil, just kind of.
In that area where the prostate actually is.
Mm-hmm,
So, right at the bottom of their bodies,
mm-hmm.
um, and just rubbing it in and I guess it's better if they have someone who could do them for them
Right,
during
right.
massage time. But that can definitely be helpful for restoring that prostate as well.
So they would rub it and then put a towel on it, and then like plastic, and then their underwear.
Well, it is a little. I would probably do more like a bandage wrap type vibe, maybe
Mm-hmm.
in the plastic. So the
Mm-hmm.
castor oil in like a pad type,
Just keep it there,
keep it there,
and then the plastic.
hmm
What about I see Epsom salt and soaking in Epsom salt baths. What's your opinion on that?
Epsom salt is definitely another way of keeping the womb cleansed and clear. And even for men with pain and prostate issues, soaking in that tub. And one thing that Queen Afua would tell us is to do the sitz bath. So you just soak in your reproductive organs, that area, and then doing a hot soak and then a cold soak, hot then cold, then hot then cold, because it's the changing of temperatures. When we do that, it allows the body to break up the blockages and the toxins and to help with that releasing as well, and
Hmm.
the restoration. So that is another traditional thing that we've done through the years to restore our health in those areas. Because you have to remember we've just recently had all this new technology, but we've been healing ourselves long before we've had the technology. And so those are some of the things that we've always done.
So I have another question here. Um, Sinette Cortia said, "Can use a crock pot, constant heat." Can you explain that? I think that has to do with the yoni steaming and also the prostate steaming. But can you just be a little bit more clear in the comments, and I'll come back to that question.
So you
Um,
can go to someone to do a yoni steam for you, or you can do it yourself. You can buy yoni steam herbal teas from people and take it home and using a crock pot. If you have a seat with a hole on it that you can put under the crock pot, you can certainly do that. The good thing about the crock pot is that the temperature goes up and down. So it's not just on all the time, it's on and then it stops and then it comes on again. And that's really the effect you want for the yoni steam. You don't want it to just be boiling the entire time that you're sitting there, because that may be too much. Now, I have also had a yoni steam um, when I was in Jamaica. And he just sat me on a bucket with some herbs and boiling water and put the towel, over me. So, again, this is something that we've been doing for a long, long time for healing. And we can definitely work it out in whatever creative way that we need to make it happen for ourselves.
hmm.
Mhm.
So sometimes I have irrational fears that are not consistent. I have I'm allergic to seafood, nuts, bee stings, blah blah blah. And so I have an EpiPen that I've never used. Why? Because I'm afraid of that little needle. A friend of mine explained to me that she's used it before, and it's just a little prick. It doesn't hurt at all. Meanwhile, I have tattoos and I'm not scared of that. So, and I said to myself, how are you not afraid of tattoo needles? But that little thing right there. Now, I absolutely love hot, 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 steamy, sweaty yoga. I love it. So
Mhm.
if I just remember when Bikram Yoga Harlem, when the Bikram Yoga Studios in New York existed still, I remember this one night, it was raining, it was in the summer, it was a Sunday night class at 6:30. It was packed. It was just sweat dripping off the walls. It was so hot and I loved it. So I'm not afraid of the heat and the steam, but every time I hear, people have doing yoni steams, I'm like, oh my goodness, that just sounds so scary. So I think that listening to you talk about it, especially like if I'm going to cheer like I do when my colon's clean, then I feel like I need to jump on this literally and figuratively and not let some kind of crazy buildup in my head stop me from having that. So if you've had any kind of rational or irrational explanation as to why you haven't tried it, try it. When I get off this, I promise you I'm gonna hit some people up and so I can get this done here in New York. I'm excited about that. Um so are there any other questions? Cortia, I'm waiting for you to explain a little bit more what refresh. Oh, she said, yeah, if you could just be more clear about the question. Let me see. I'm just reading some other questions.
Okay.
There, someone asked for the guys. Oh my goodness, where was it? About if they should stay away from pre-made and here it is. Should we avoid those store-bought enemas like the pre-made enemas?
Yes, I would say yes. I'm I try to avoid most store bought stuff, especially if I can make my own alternative. And for the simple reason is that when you make it yourself, you have control over what's in it. So I definitely have done, series of enemas through the years, and you find different results with different ingredients. You can control how much you're adding and things like that, which really do make a difference. And you know, I always tell my students, no one could tell you what's best for you better than you. So when you're making your own products, you have that ability to tune into yourself to see what it is you need, how much you need of it, and so on and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
And so I always encourage people to do it yourself. If you cannot, for whatever reason, and the store bought one is your only alternative and you're constipated, you need to go, then I would definitely say go with the store bought one because it's better to use that than to have nothing at all. But if you could take the time to do it yourself, to do some research to determine, do you need to use olive oil? Should you add cayenne? Should you do a coffee enema because they work differently? Then you'll have better results.
I agree 100% with me fiddling around with it before I had a cultural or spiritual context into which I was doing it. You learn from your mistakes and like for example, when my friend and I did the juice fast, the 48-hour juice fast for like 4 hours, I would never buy a bottle of juice to fast.
Right.
I would never do that now. Why? Because when I was drinking the other stuff before, it just tasted like sugary fruit juice. And now if I when I fast, you have or juice, you have fresh organic seeded fruits, and it's in conjunction with your teas and water, etc. And you can totally taste the difference, and your body can taste the difference too. And I had a friend who was ill, and she was trying to healing herself holistically, and she got this guy to help her juice and all the ingredients I agreed with, and because she ran it by me to see like what does this look like, and one of the ingredients was a bottle of like Tropicana orange juice, and I was like, well, all that other stuff is great, but this is just a bottle of sugar, and I'm surprised he's even having this in this diet, this cleanse.
Right.
It's making me question his authority. Like, are you kidding me? Don't drink that. So, and I had that knowledge because I did that before with the 4-hour, 48-hour juice cleanse I was doing versus what I grew into. and understanding it. So it's better to do your own research and with reputable sources. Try things yourself. Remember, you're gonna stay home for those couple days and figure it out, and you'll see how it affects your body. You know, when I did the master cleanse before I was initiated, and then during initiation we do a fast and a cleanse, and it's different, and you just learn. And then I did the washout with the Cicada Sagrada, and so 3 different ways to do it. You know what how your body responds to it and stuff like that. So it's worth it to just kind of fiddle a little bit and figure it out. It's gonna work.
Yes.
It's gonna work. But like was stated, you get to control it, and it's just a better learning experience, not just with the herbs you're working with, but your body and trusting yourself. So that's my suggestion to you, Sanjay-san, and to anyone. So let's see. I don't think that we have any more questions. Can we please drop the PayPal in the chat? You all, those of you who are here from the very beginning, know that we have a well-educated and practiced Reiki master here, and we should definitely let her know that we know this by making love donations to her PayPal. Cheryl, can you drop her PayPal for me, please? Let me see where. It's hard for me on my phone to do it. There we go. Thank you, Jason. And you don't have to do it now. You can do it now and later, like now and later's that we don't eat anymore. You can hit it up now and you can hit it up later. Okay. So I just want to thank everyone for participating and for being on Tuesday Talk. And for those of you who were here at the very beginning, we have a very special guest on tonight in learning the breadth and the depth of our healing capabilities. And just as was stated earlier, we are, people use Reiki, Ra Sekhi Arts to heal, because that's what we need right now. And I absolutely love the fact that our people have individually and simultaneously collectively said, you know what, I'm going to heal myself first. I'm going to heal my body, I'm going to heal my mind, my soul, my spirit, my money, my everything, my relationship, my hair, my skin, all of it, just in our healing era moment. And this is another holistic, all-encompassing way to heal yourself. So please look into finding the closest Ra Seikhi Arts master or practitioner in your area. Maybe you can spend a weekend in Atlanta and have some services. Go to, what is it, Sweet Spot?
Yeah, the Sweet Spot is the place to get the yoni steam. Mm-hmm. But for us, we do have practitioners all over the country, and we have a list of the practitioners on the website, the Ra Seikhi Healing site. Also, we do retreats and classes all over the country as well. So we're on our way to Sedona at the end of April. We'll be going to Chicago in May, and also Philly to do Comedic Reiki Level 1 and 2 classes. We also have a trip to Kemet planned for August. So we'll be going there to do classes and to do our own self-healing research adventures in that sacred space. We also have a trip planned to go to Brazil in November, and there will be a few other classes and retreats in between the time throughout the year as well. So you can always find our class dates and locations at rasekhihealing.com. I am also the author of this is my 13th book that I published this year, it's just a coloring book, but I'm also waiting for our segment Oracle card deck to drop. Ooh, I'm so excited about that. I have to pat myself and those who helped to get this project complete. So we are super excited for that to be released. I'm expecting the cards to come in anytime now. As soon as they come in, I will be sharing online it's been a beautiful project to bring into fruition. But I do also have 12 other books as well, 3 children's books, which talk about health, wellness, and spirituality for our young people. Then we have the Comedic Reiki books. We have a book of African prayers called Speaking with Spirit, a recipe book, Recipes for Elevation. We have a book for leaders in the community that's called A Rising Nation, because we know that there are a lot of leaders who have been misusing their power. So we wanted to put a code of ethics out there for our people, for those who are serving the community and for those who are looking for people who are serving the community, to know what to expect, what not to expect, and what not to accept when it comes to behavior in that way. And then, of course, we have the chakra workbook and the chakra journal as well. So we are teaching our people about the chakras and energy healing from an African centered perspective. So we talking about spirituality, um, working with our spirit guides, yoga poses, recipes, and different exercises that we can do to really heal our chakras and to heal ourselves holistically,
Mm,
because we in this time, that's what's required of us.
that's right.
And many of us don't even know we need healing until we start that healing process. One of my most recent retreats, a sister said she came just because, she thought it was going to be one thing. But then when she was participating, she realized she really needed this healing. And so it's been an interesting journey, because it's something that people are not always looking for. When we started, Black people were not talking about Reiki. Okay. So we've had to really educate people on the need that we have to use our energy, to use the crystals, the sounds, the colors, to use the affirmations, and to return to our culture, because that's our real, true healing power,
That's
to
right.
be our true African selves and to step into our authentic selves, to release, the oppressive conditionings that we have been walking in for too long, because
For
that
too
time
long.
is over. It's
It's
a
over.
new day. And we better get into this new vibration, because the world is already in it. Okay. So,
Mm,
yes.
mm.
So, starting a whole new conversation. I'm just going to end it right there.
Yes, and that is definitely a great place to end it. And I want to say thank you so much, Rekhit Kajara, for being on the show this evening. This was so amazing. I'm so excited. I got my little assignments I'm gonna do. I'm gonna keep y'all posted, y'all, and everybody. This is another modality of healing. And those of you who've been on Tuesday Talk, we've discussed those other healing modalities. I also want to say that this Tuesday Talk will be wrapping up our Tuesday Talk season for this season. I will be back in the fall, most likely the first or second Tuesday of September. I don't have a calendar in front of me, but it's going to be after Labor Day, not before then. And to stay tuned, I want to say thank you so much for participating and for making our third season of Tuesday Talk very vibrant, and having all of these amazing people on Tuesday Talk is because we do get support. Please make sure to make a financial contribution to our guests for this evening. Everybody who comes on here is an expert and is a legend. 20, 30 years, you're going to be like, yeah, she was on Tuesday Talk. Well, she's here now. So let's just make sure that we give in ways that also help all of us to be able to do the things that it is that we need to do. So once again, thank you so much. I had so much fun doing this tonight, and I'm going to be looking back over for those list of herbs, and just I just want to say thank you and dua to everyone. Um, I can't believe it's going to be my last Tuesday talk for so long. I love talking to y'all, so I'm dragging out my goodbye just a little bit longer than I normally do. If there is a topic or a person or something that you think would be a fit and good for Tuesday Talk, then just email me at Abut Seshat at shrineofmaat.org. If you DM the shrine, I'm not getting it. I'm not gonna get it. It's just Brian and Nika aren't gonna get it and give it to me. It's not gonna happen. Okay. So please just submit to Abut Seshat at Shrine of Ma'at, a person, a topic, a website, an event, something that you think would be really good for Tuesday Talk. So with that, I bid you farewell. Thank you so much, and I will see you in September. Much, much to the family. Mwah.
Udjah, Seneb.
Shema Ma'at.